Hey, I'm Jim Sear.
And I'm Jocelyn.
And you are listening to the Avoiding Chores podcast,
where we're going all 80s all the time.
That's right. We're going to do a series of podcasts about the 80s. We're going to focus on one year in particular. This episode, we'll start the first one. Well, we did the intro one last time, but we're going to start with 1980.
1980. Wow.
I was young back then.
You were a kid, but for me, that's the year I became a teenager. So it was pretty significant. And you know, when you become a teenager, you start being more aware of what's going on in the world, I guess.
Well, and really, that is when CNN first launched in June 1st, 1980. They went on the air. Yep.
Wow. It's funny. I don't recall it launching that early, and I don't think I became that aware of CNN until, I'd say, almost 11 years later in 91 when the Gulf War happened.
Yeah, it wasn't until cable arrived in our area where we were able to have... Sorry, cable came late in the 80s for us in our rural area in Canada. It took a little while, so...
That's funny. I remember Ronald Reagan being elected. I was already a bit of a political junkie at the time, even though I was a kid. And I remember Ronald Reagan being elected and the fact that he was a celebrity and all that.
Well, that was a big year also because, I remember collecting Chiquita banana stickers and remembering that there was an Olympic year. And the U.S. was boycotting the Moscow Olympics.
Yes, that was a big deal because I was a big fan of the Olympics, and the Olympics, the prior Summer Olympics in 1976 were in Montreal, my hometown. So right. I was a big fan of the Olympics, and I was really disappointed because it wasn't only the U.S. A lot of the Western nations, including Canada, boycotted the Moscow Olympics. So there was no Olympics.
No, and really the same thing happened in '84 because they did tit for tat.
Los Angeles, yeah.
Los Angeles. All of a sudden, all this medals coming for North American countries and stuff like that. But it wasn't until '88 that things kind of balanced out again, but it's funny how it took a while to get down there, right?
It sure did. Today at the office, I was using something that was introduced in 1980, which is the Post-it note. 37 years later.
Wow, Post-it notes, and it comes in all sizes, shapes. I got some right here on my desk.
Colors, everything.
Oh my! Well, you know what? I think that is. I just started a new job a couple months ago, and the first thing I was looking for was, where are the Post-its?
Isn't it crazy in the world of, never mind computers, we're way past computers. We hold supercomputers in our hands with our phones, and we can take notes on our phones, we can take voice notes we can take video notes on our phone, yet we still use technology from 1980, which was an accident too.
Well, I'll give you something else here because if you're in the kind of the IT world and stuff like that, there's different ways to develop a solution, an agile, frame of mind and workflow. The core of it is using Post-its on the wall. and it's all about Post-its. And here, I got a sheet right here. I got a letter-sized paper, and on it is a bunch of Post-its for ideas. One Post-it is an idea where I will scribble something on the other side. Post-its, huge. Can't be overlooked. Huge.
Incredible. And all that came from a good accident at 3M, and where they encouraged people to actually submit their ideas, and there you go, a multi-billion-dollar industry was born. Crazy, isn't it?
Wow. Let's see what else happened here. We talked about maybe Pacman. We talked about video games. We gotta talk about video games in the 80s. Pacman got released at the arcades. Arcades in general,
absolutely. Such a huge trend. I spent a lot of quarters in arcades in the 80s. I can tell you that. Including Pacman.
Pacman, later on for me, was Operation Wolf. You had
I don't remember that one.
that was 2-player. They had little Uzis, and you just shot people in the Viet Cong kind of POW camp. It's fantastic.
Wow.
It was
Terry
fantastic.
Fox started his run in 1980 in the month of April. I think he started in Newfoundland, the Marathon of Hope.
Oh, Marathon of Hope. I remember watching some of this stuff on TV, but I also remember that it ended sooner than it should have.
Yeah, it sure did, and it was a tragedy. But I think, listen, the fact that we're still talking about Terry Fox 37 years later is a tribute to how big an accomplishment what he was trying to do, which is run across Canada. As you said, he didn't succeed to run the whole way, but it was such an inspirational run and an inspirational feat at a time where things like that hadn't been done much.
No, it's crazy. For people who probably not familiar with Terry Fox, Google Terry Fox. It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
It is a big deal, yeah, for sure. Huge deal.
Let's try to lighten up the mood here with talking about maybe some of the films in 1980. Got to talk about Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. That was 1980. I remember getting the tabloid-size Marvel comic adaptation of the movie.
Wow, unbelievable.
So huge. I don't have it now. I wish I did, but oh well.
It kind of started the trend of having sequels for movies. I'm sure there were some before that, but for sure none as big. And I still remember seeing Star Wars Episode 4, what was the first movie back in 77. I was a kid, I was 10 years old, and going to see Empire Strikes Back again. Like, it's still, I watched it again just recently, and wow, it's still a great movie, although it shows its age.
Well, I'm going to wait for a little bit more, but the little one, she's 4, but she seems to know what Star Wars is. So I think it's going to be time to introduce her to maybe some of the movies here. Hey, another big movie that came out, you're talking about sequels, Superman 2.
Superman 2, wow, with Christopher Reeve.
Oh, Christopher Reeve, the best Superman. Best Superman.
Oh, no question. And I really, for me, the only Superman I stopped watching after he stopped doing him. Yeah, most definitely. Hey, the resurgence of the 80s, which we talked about in the prior episode to this one. I saw somebody, actually a teenager the other day, doing a Rubik's Cube, just walking along the sidewalk. And the Rubik's Cube was launched in 1980.
Wow, Rubik's Cube. Man, I can't tell you how frustrated I got. And then I just took it apart and put it back together with all the colors. That's how I solved my Rubik's Cube.
Well, I remember buying a couple books that taught you methods to do it quicker. And incredibly, I took mine apart as well, but not for the same reason. I took mine apart because I had read somewhere that if you took some Vaseline and put it inside, it would actually slide quicker, and you could do the darn thing much faster if you did that. Isn't that crazy? Like this stuff. Where did we learn this? You couldn't Google it.
No, that is the interesting part. How would we know? No internet, no real cable TV back then. You had something called newspapers. You had magazines. Like what? Was that in Tiger Beat magazine?
Word of mouth, man. We talked to each other and like you tended to associate with people that had similar interests to you. So obviously your little gang of friends would all have a Rubik's Cube, and we'd share tricks. Like, ridiculous, isn't it?
Wow.
Like, we got amused with very little.
Oh, you got that right. Hey, you know what, Jocelyn? Let's cap this off for the review of 1980. Why that year really rocked. You know what? We're going to do the series of these. Next episode, we're going to focus on 1981. Go back to the first intro episode so we can get into the mood of things. We're going to do this all the way up to 89, so I think we're going to have a lot of fun here, Jocelyn.
Absolutely.
All right, folks, if you like this episode and you want to leave us a review or a rating, go on your Apple Podcast, give us a review, go to Stitcher or go to Google Play. You can also find us there. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all these other social media, but basically Facebook. Just search for Avoiding Chores.